Hello and welcome back to spooky season. This is really a film I enjoy actually quite a bit, and I'm sharing it with you. It may come as a surprise because I usually shit all over Zack Snyder, but I like Dawn of the Dead. Yes. It's actually celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. So this was a perfect time to do it. I watched it with the audio description. The audio description on it is amazing, by the way. Just fucking amazing. A plus. A plus audio description. I was like, not only did I feel like I was getting like great visuals, but that dude's voice. I feel like I haven't heard it. I was like, who is this guy? And how do we get him in more movies? Just an excellent audio description track. I've seen Dawn of the Dead a couple of times. I own it on DVD, and it's written by James Gunn, which is probably one of the reasons it's a lot better than it should be. This is James Gunn before anybody ever was like, "Hey, you want to do Guardians of the Galaxy?" You know, long before that. So yeah, 20 years of Dawn of the Dead, which I still think is Zack Snyder's, like, my favorite Zack Snyder movie. Whether or not it's his best, that's where I get kind of like tripped up in the 300 thing. Is it's like, well, I don't know. He did get a bigger budget, but then 300 started to develop these tropes for him, where he just kind of like, and then he just kind of like every movie looks like 300 now. But like when you look at Dawn of the Dead, it's like he had something here. And I don't know why he lost it, and I don't know why more of his projects don't feel like Dawn of the Dead. You know, like why did he lose this style? Why is everything so heavily stylized that comes from Zack Snyder nowadays? So I would love for him to get back to his roots. I'd love for him to just drop all of the usual Zack Snyderisms. And you know, it would be like finding out that like before Michael Bay started blowing things up, that he made like the Shawshank Redemption. I know he didn't. That was Frank Darabont. But if you did, you'd be like, "Oh my God, that was Michael Bay. What, what has he been doing with his life?" You know, it's like, yeah, I think Zack Snyder has an untapped future in this genre that he just hasn't really bothered to get into. So I'm reviewing this, and I'm reviewing the George Romero version of it from 1978 at the same time. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing it for you. So there will be, so check out the other video with Dawn of the Dead. This got a pretty killer cast. It's pretty wide. Oh God, well, you've got everybody from Sarah Polley, Ving, Rhames, Burrell. Burrell's in this. Kevin Zegers, Mekhi Pfifer. Jake Weber, just like a whole bunch of people are in this. And it's kind of like the opposite of Romero's Dawn of the Dead, where there's like 4 main cast members. This one, James Gunn was like, you know what? I'm going to do Romero better. I'm going to have a bajillion main cast members inside this mall. And it'll make for more fun as we kill them off slowly, one by one. Yeah, it's it starts off with, you know, the sort of like showing you how the world is slowly turning into this zombie apocalypse, and Sarah Polley wakes up with that creepy little child in her bedroom, and the husband goes over, and then shit gets wild and crazy. And from there on, it's about survivors getting together and surviving and meeting up, and they're like, well, we're gonna go hide in the mall, and they lock it down. And but things keep happening, and obviously like people turn, and they still do the pregnancy thing here. Like the first film, there's a pregnancy that sort of is, well, they do it differently here. It's definitely interesting and disturbing. I think I was trying to look for the differences, because I know that when the streamers pick up films, they always pick up like generally the theatrical release unless it's specified. And I remember my DVD is like the unrated edition, so I've seen whatever Zack Snyder, like the whole version. So I was it's been a while since I've seen Dawn of the Dead, but I was trying to like think. I was like, what exactly was different? You know, what was different in his unrated, like harder R version? And I think it had a lot to do with like the baby sequence, but um, that's gnarly. And you know what? It's fun. It's entertaining. I like the score. I like the Down with the Sickness cover that's in this. This is great. Um, there are just so many references in this that are really fun, and it feels like uh, from somebody who also played video games, the references. I having watching these Dawn of the Dead movies where everything takes place in a mall. If you ever played Dead Rising, the video game where you basically are doing Dawn of the Dead in a mall, it's basically the same thing. You, you realize how much of an homage that is to things that came before it. So there's nothing but love here. Yeah, I don't normally do this for Zack Snyder because I don't think he's earned it anymore. I think he's just I don't know what he's doing anymore with life. Rebel Moon is terrible. Uh, Army of the Dead should have been more like this, but he still really wants to stylize things. He still really wants to have all of his little isms in there, and it just doesn't. It kind of messes up the movie. Maybe it was because James Gunn wrote a script. Maybe that is why the film works so well. I don't know, but I think this is the best thing the best direction that Zack Snyder has done. And then it's like debatable between this and 300 as to which one is actually the better film. Although, having already reviewed 300 this year, I can tell you I enjoy watching Dawn of the Dead more. 300 over time, and especially as a blind person, 300 is a lot of the stylism when you start relying fully on that story. It's not quite as fun. Dawn of the Dead is still fun though, and especially with this narrator. This narrator, God, is on point. I wish I'd gotten the name. Oh man, this guy's amazing. So whoever you are, sir, I bow to you. And also whoever wrote it. It's both, by the way. There's like this great debate about like, is it the writer, is it the narrator? This was both. This was a perfect marriage of two things that came together and created the perfect audio description track. And I think it's one of the best I've ever heard. Not only was it really descriptive in terms of gore and everything, and considering how it had to fit in to all of the little breaks, I thought it did a really good job with that. So, but also just the way that the guy's voice is, he's pitched, everything about it is fantastic. So, check it out, get creepy this Halloween season, and I'll see you guys. Oh, wait, did I grade it? Dawn of the Dead. I'm ready to leave. I consider this a Desert Island movie. It's the only one of Zack Snyder's movies that I would take, and very few horror movies I would take too. So I would take this to a desert island, and I will A+ it and do the Romero. I'll see you guys on the other side.